Folks, Rudy, I appreciate a smooth transaction, sir. The collection in front of you is the result of collecting and trading up over the last 3 years. I was able to find the Mock Sapphire Raw on eBay and actually get it graded. I know, right? Then I decided to target only sealed boxes in PSA 10 Beckett 9.5s. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and insight with all of us over the years. I will continue to watch and learn. Please use this as a reminder everyone that it's a beautiful world out there and full of tacos. Thanks, Alex. That was a really cool message, man. Okay, so we're gonna start with the first thing. So this is actually the card that was really exciting to me the most in this actually collection deal. So we have a good old Beckett, which stands for, I hope the grade is accurate, 9.5, and I guess for all you obsessive compulsive, quad 9.5, ooh, whatever, who cares? It's a beautiful card. Not really much to say about it, but it is a stunningly beautiful card. Okay. Cards like this, even in this kind of weaker bear market right now, I don't see a lot of downside or high risk situations of price swings. Not only do I think like unlimited power is going to hold up just fine, maybe some small 10-20% swings at the most worst case scenario. But then when you get to these like 9.5 really niche market, super specific grades and quad pluses and I think, the people involved with that are such a small amount. I don't think those people really care very much. No one's going to say, well, you know what? Magic's in a bear market. I got to sell. This does not have, it's not a quad with a plus or a quad with 2 plus signs. You know what? I can't deal with it anymore. I'm going to throw it in the mailbox. I'm just going to put stamps on the graded case. I'm going to cover it in forever stamps. I'm going to throw the card in the mail. I just don't see that happening. Now, next part of the conversation. Ready for this one? This one, we've got ourselves the old Mox Diamond. Every time I see this card still, I still think about that Stronghold box opening we did on this channel a couple of years ago for the Patron. And I sold him the box for like $500. And he pulled 2 Sliver Queens and 2 Mox Diamonds for $500. Gem mint. And I think he got them graded too. Then after that, he got very angry at me and like attacked me and disappeared because of over the common cards. And it was a disaster. Yeah, it was good memories. Good memories. Best box opening ever. So Mox Diamond is one of those cards that is kind of the, not the high-end power level, Power 9 tier, but this is a card that's gone up a substantial amount percentage-wise. In the last 12 months, in the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year time frame, it's up substantially in all of those. And I think Mox Diamonds, raw and graded, this is the type of card that will have more of a downside price retracement because there's more of them. It was a more affordable card. If a $200 card goes to $500 in a weak market, a $500 card can easily not retrace 10% or 20% from $500 to $450 or $400. But a card like this can easily have a 30-40% retrace from, let's say, $500 back to $300. That is a lot more realistic on the percentage scale based on the type of buyers who have the card and their personal situations. And remember, there is a chunk of the market that does not have a passion for these things, does not care about these things. And they only got involved because they were told to stay at home by the government, and they just started shopping and buying collectibles online and, giant Pikachus and all kinds of, poking your moms and all these things. People are getting involved in things they really didn't have a passion about. And when the money train stops, if they don't really truly love the card, they're going to walk away. And that's what we're experiencing right now. Okay, next. Oh, that was a backflip. That could have been an Olympic trial. So, obviously, Gwendlyn is one of, in the top Rudy, probably top 10 all-time favorite Rudy cards in the history of Magic. You guys know this is one of my favorite Legends cards ever. Like, I like this card better than Tabernacles. I like it better than Moats. I like it better than Chains. I like it better than the Abyss. This is just it's a provocative, it is just the artwork, the style of it. Gwendlyn is such a seductive, evil chick, and it's like she's got this power thing. And, the power level of the card, it's a legend. And honestly, just the ability that she had, I just loved everything about the card as a package deal. I thought it was always a special card. So, Gwendolyn's are one of those cards where not only is the art reserve list, I kind of think the name is reserve list, and everything about it is so protected from ever being. It's like in my opinion, this card has the probability of, let's pretend it wasn't reserve list. This thing has the probability of being reprinted as much as literally like Invoke the P or like some sort of, I guess, Stone Throwing Devils, all these silly things from 2020. In other words, it's just, to me, it's such a protected item. Like, I don't feel the downside on that is nearly as much as a card like Mox Diamond, even though this card has more utility, more use, more mainstream. People love the card more. But the fact that this thing has, kind of collateral outside variables that protect it, that's, plus I just think it's a very unique card. All right, next we're going to jump over to something different here, folks. Sealed Exodus box. So now this is an interesting one. So obviously Exodus, infamous Wrath Cycle, blah, blah, blah. These boxes skyrocketed in 2020, similar to the Revise, the Stronghold, the Weatherlight, the Tempest, across the board. This was part of the golden era of 90s, reserve list booster boxes that have gone up massive. Well, unfortunately, as much as I love these items, this is an item that has a lot of downside risk right now. And my rationale for it is probably most likely the expected value of this box. If you open it today, we're going to pretend grading doesn't exist, with it not grading survival of the fittest and getting a PSA 10, just the raw cards in the box in pack fresh condition. I'm going to say you're probably going to get an expected value of between $500 and $1,000 per box. So let's go right in the middle, $700, okay? Even with a 2, 3, 4x multiplier, that would put this box around, I'm going to say 2,000 to maybe 5,000 at the top end of the range. Now, Exodus did hit about 5,000 at the peak. There were some people that paid about 4,800, 49. There were some transactions, private and public. Do I think it's a $5,000 box right now? No, I don't. Do I think it's going to go to 5,000 anytime soon? No, I don't. Do I absolutely love this era product of the Tempest, Exodus, Weatherlight, Stronghold era? I love it. Absolutely love it. The lore, the story, the history, the type of cards. It's I feel like it was when Magic really had good storylines and the whole history. You guys know what I mean. So, I believe boxes like this is the time to pay attention to the market. And when the prices are falling back, this is the time to move in. I'm telling you all, every time these things flare up, they go up 1,000%. They retrace 2, 3, 400%. They establish a new floor. And then eventually, maybe 6 to 12, 18 months later, they have another run up. And you have to be willing to say, okay, I'm doing good financially. My personal situation's okay. This is the time I need to make a move. And it's very difficult because, again, we are all naturally wired to be the worst possible investor at the worst possible time. Because remember, when things are dropping, nobody wants to throw money into something knowing for a fact that it's probably going to keep dropping. And if you buy this box today for $4,000, chances are in the next couple months, it's going to be $3,000. If you pay $3,000 for it today, chances are this box has a good probability of going to $2,500 and maybe $2,000 and maybe bottoming back to maybe like $1,500 range. Before this entire run-up, Exodus was $800 to $1,200. It hit a peak of $5,000. We're now averaging about $3,000. So we're down about 40% from the peak. I still love the product. I love the game. It doesn't change anything about the product. This is just market noise and swings and goofiness. You cannot let that make or break your decision. If you love the product, you believe in the product, you make a decision based on the product. Okay, next thing. This is a good one. I know, right? A brick. You guys know what these are? The bricks. They haven't made these things. Look at this. It's ridiculous how heavy these things are. I think this is because these were when they went from 10 to 12 tournament decks. And I think they went from 60 to 75 cards for more commons and lands. So the weight of these things is nuts. So obviously tournament decks don't exist. They scrapped those things years ago, man. I wish they didn't, but I understand why they did. It is what it is. These type of products are more niche, more high risk, and more unique. If I recall, and again, I don't have evidence of this, if I recall correctly, the print runs for any form of, like, for example, on Odyssey, the print run for a set like Odyssey was 75% boosters, 25% starters. So the cards themselves that were printed have kind of a 75% booster, 25. It's kind of so if you divide it up, you know, it's 3/4 there, 1/4, 75, 25. So the supply of these is a lot lower. I've always preferred starter bricks over booster boxes because I always felt years ago that, because believe it or not, like one of the things I bought a lot of was Tempest starter decks over the Tempest booster boxes, and people thought I was an idiot. And I liked the idea that you had the same quantity of rares, especially when they're 12. Remember, when there's 12 decks, 3 rares apiece, you get the same 36 rares. Now, back in the day with Ice Age and 4th edition, the bricks were squares, like revised, so there was only 10. So in Ice Age and 4th edition, when you had 3 rares, you only had 30 rares versus a booster box of 36. And if you go even further back, remember revised starter bricks have 2 variants. You have the 2 rare revised starter brick, or starter deck. Then you have the 3 rare second final wave of the revised that have 3 rares per starter brick, or starter deck. I know, it drives you crazy. So I've always been a fan of these items. I think items like this are going to hold up a little bit better because there's less supply that can come to market to actually put downward pressure on the sealed product itself. Hope that makes sense. I know, kind of a weird video today, isn't it? All right, so now we're going to jump over to one other thing. The other item in this transaction we did was a Betrayers of Kamigawa. Set 2 of 3, infamous Kami. Obviously, set 1 was Champions, set 3 was Saviors. Saviors was deemed the biggest dumpster fire ever, sold like utter trash. Box prices sat at like $100 to $150 for like 10 years after the thing was printed. We're talking, this thing was like the worst performing. This is like Dragon's Maze, 6.9. This thing was, I mean, it was just Iconic Masters 1.0 when it came out. Saviors was awful. Now, Betrayers was actually kind of pretty strong. Champions of Kamigawa was actually the most successful, highest volume, highest EV, blah, blah, blah. Now, in 2021, it doesn't really matter because now we don't really care about the EV or the power level. Oh, Rudy, Saviors is a terrible set. These are the same arguments that people did with Ice Age. Oh, look at these morons buying Ice Age boxes for like $300 a box. There's not even a card in the set worth more than $5. Remember those arguments? Anybody? Remember that stuff? So the variable that those individuals failed to expand their horizons and really kind of have open-minded conversations, the variable that they didn't think about was that the raw attrition of the sealed product supply was going to continue to push the product up. And as a product ages, the sealed value multiplier increases. So those outside variable calculations is what those individuals didn't calculate. When I started buying Ice Age and 4th edition booster boxes and starter bricks, I started to buy them literally in 2009 to 2010, and I paid between $100 and $120 per sealed box of 4th edition and Ice Age. And trust me, they were very easy to come by because the people who had them didn't want them. They wanted the new stuff at that time because, again, this was Zendikar Priceless Treasure era. This was pre New Phyrexia, pre RTR Gate Crash, where print runs were tight. It was a very glorious era of Magic. So people did not want, literally, Fallen Empire boxes were $60 still. I bought a case of 10, a sealed case of 10 Fallen Empire boxes, no joke, for $600. It was 10 times 60, and I still have the actual outer cardboard box that says, I think it says, it has like a white sticker. If I remember, I gotta pull it out and show you guys. It says like 60 times, hold on, it says 60 times, it says 15 cards per pack times 60 times 10. So it has like 3 multiplying numbers on the box. It's weird. Anyway, so I don't think the downside on items like this are nearly as dramatic as the downsides as a better product like Exodus. Like Exodus, no joke, is a better product. Okay, but this has more of a downside than this and then this. Mostly because of the percentage increase, the percentage swings in the people who are over leveraged or the Timmies who jumped in to flip things. If they paid $2,000 for this and they tried to flip it for $5,000 and now they went from 5 to 4 to 3, they're going to start panicking. They don't care about keeping it. They don't have a passion to want to keep it. An item like this that was $200 for the longest time, and it went up to, let's say, $1,000, can easily go back to 98700, but there's not really going to be any real catalyst to really suppress it lower, because other people aren't going to be listing this item undercutting you like crazy. There's just not enough out there. I've been saying it for years. The amount of supply left in the world on these items, like bricks of this and betrayers, and the supply is so low, the market is still getting it wrong. I've said it for years. I said it for when Weatherlight was $400 a box. And I've been talking about Weatherlight at $400 a box since I got on YouTube in 2016, and it stayed that way all the way to 2020, and I didn't understand why. So I kept buying it because I firmly believe the market is wrong. And that happens in life. The market is not always like they teach in finance and business school. I went through a whole upper level business school with that crap. No, the efficient frontier. The market is always pricing everything in. You're wrong. The market gets it wrong. Most of the time, the market does price everything in. But I'm here to tell you all, the market F's up. The market does not calculate certain variables. Look at the '08 financial collapse with real estate subprime mortgages and all these collateralized debt obligations, CDOs and mortgage and all this crap. Look at, the market was wrong. Period. Oh, you're betting against housing in America? Well, because they saw variables that the market wasn't accepting. Whether they knew about it, or they were in denial, or they just didn't care, or all of the above. Okay. Final part of the video. Actually got some PSA 10s for the first time in 2+ years. I got some new PSA 10 Arabian Night cards. No joke. It's been over 2 years since I've even acquired one. We got Rudy's ex-girlfriend. We've got old man Rudy. And we've got young, really, I wish I was that cool with that kind of mustache Rudy. So, obviously, if this one doesn't really care about. Honestly, the ogre over here, I mean, it's just a kind of a meme card. It's a set card. I really don't care. We're not going to talk much about it. It's kind of a common card. It may be an uncommon. I'm pretty sure it's common. It doesn't matter. The quantity of cards out there for Arabian Nights and people's bulk things, this and that, for people who have a lot of Arabian Nights singles and just commons, trust me, there are thousands of these things sitting out there. And a lot of those are going to be packed fresh because no one ever used the card, which means the PSA 10 value on that card does not have much value to me. It's cool, it's neat, but long term, it's going to have very limited upside. Now, these two cards, this is interesting here. Old Man Rudy. Full disclosure, my private position, I have over 100 copies for my 100 Arabian Nights sets of this card. This is one of the first ones next to Singing Tree and Elephant Graveyard I started to buy in 2017 when I really expanded Arabian Nights. This was just the one I first started buying like crazy for between $50 and $60 a card because I love the card. I loved it. Now, Ali from Cairo, this was not really the surprise or sleeper hit. It's no Bazaar Baghdad. Everybody knew since the card was printed in '94, this was a very unique, special card that was always going to retain value. Everybody knew it in '94. It's 2021. Oh my God, are we really that old, everybody? I guess we were. Is that really 27 years old? 27 years ago, people knew. 27 years later, in 2021, we still know. And the next 27 years into the future with flying cars, we all live in space, and Rudy's driving a DeLorean, and we're going back because we don't need roads and all that stuff. It's still going to be special. Now, I think Ali from Cairo is still one of the cards that's very underpriced. Same thing with Old Man. The more commons in the bulk, that's a different conversation. We've talked about the bulk cards in the Four Horsemen sets, specifically Legends, Arabian Nights, Antiquities. Not so much the dark, because there's a lot of bulk in the dark. But we've talked about that in the past. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there like me who are holding big positions in the common cards, so you got to use a lot of caution with that. But these particular cards, reserve list, Arabian Nights, high grade, very special. These cards to me are priceless. Like I said, I don't even know what the current market price is. I didn't check if these were appreciating or depreciating or staying flat recently. I know the buy lists have dropped on average 30% across the board for many old vintage cards, but I firmly believe these type of cards are priceless to people like me. I don't care. I love it. Old man Rudy over here, I got excited. These are the two cards that got me the most excited to do this transaction. And I know most of you watching are going to go, what? Are you serious? It's a flippin' unlimited Mox. It's a sealed X. I know, but again, Gwendlyn, and this is what really excited me, were these three. The rest is cool and all. It's a great thing. I don't mind parking money into it and letting it just kind of appreciate and age and everything. But these two PSA 10s, Arabian Nights and Gwendlyn, that's what really made me want to do this transaction. And the gentleman was really nice, and he was looking to get a bunch of cash, and no problems. Everything worked out. But that's my overall speech, folks. So in conclusion, for those of you actually still watching this late in the video, I mean, I don't know, give me a hashtag Mortal Kombat or something. Give me something silly so I know you actually know. I know there's like nobody watching this late. I've rambled for 20 minutes in this thing. But I just want to give a final conclusion here. We're in for some tougher times in the market. The easy money's gone. Pokemon Flesh and Blood, Magic the Gathering. Well, Weiss and Force of Will seem to really be strong. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still pretty strong. Digimon's booming. But further back, MetaZoo is about to launch. But just be aware, folks, it's going to be tighter now. I know, that's a giggity. But the market is really going to be... There's not a lot of quick cash right now. So it's going to weed out a lot of the people who really don't want to keep their money tied up in cardboard because they were just trying to flip it and get in and out. Giggity, like your ex, And overall, I think when this levels out by the end of the year, maybe next year, the people who are left holding or still buying through this time are really going to be the true people who love it and should be in this market. I think, like I said, it's the same thing with, Magic, Pokemon, and Flesh and Blood. I've been picking on those three because those are the three having the biggest swing. People getting out of Pokemon because they're upside down, and now Chilling Reign is dropping. Battle Styles is useless. Stores are over leveraged. Magic, Modern Horizons, it's been tanking as far as sealed box prices compared to the beginning from release date to today. Flesh and Blood, same thing. A lot of the sealed prices and cold foils, the investors have been tanking and panicking and running for the exits. And the only people going to be left are the people who truly care about the product. And I tell you what, it's going to be an interesting ride. Hope you guys learned something. Beautiful world. Remember, I appreciate the honor and privilege to entertain. Hopefully you guys learned something out there. And remember, seriously, sometimes get away from negativity. Go outside. Seriously, go dig a hole, jump in it, and be a carrot. Put a lawn chair in the road, yell at the cars when they go by. Seriously, go sit out there and just stare at a tree for 20 minutes. Take the blinders off.